Verse 2. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and the whole congregation has said unto them, would the Most High that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would the Most High we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore had the Lord, wherefore the Lord have brought into us this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said one to another, let us make a captain, and let us return into Egypt. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. All right. So the situation the children of Israel was going through, this is why they wanted to turn back to Egypt. It's not because they didn't come out of Egypt with great possessions as they did, or as it's stated, right? The way it's stated, that we spoiled the Egyptians, so we took their possessions that they had, the jewels, the silver, jewels of gold, and raiment, right? But just even though we got put in this situation, okay, Jake had the mindset like, oh, we gonna die. We ain't gonna make it, right? That was their mindset. So they was like, you know what? We better off going back to Egypt. We better off being in that position. You got to think about it. Check this perspective out. When you're already like not well off, but when you're in a position where it's like a position of I don't want to use the word comfortability because I don't want to make it light. But as far as where you don't have to worry about nothing, you got to believe, okay, they was being captive in Egypt and going through burdens, but they was still being sheltered. They was still being fed, right? Now you look at it in the mindset of today, people have that same mentality even when they go to jail today, because you'll hear it come out people's mouth and say, well, I'll say I have heard it. They would say, well, I don't mind going to jail because guess what? I got shelter and I got a place to eat. I mean, I got a place to sleep and I can eat. All right. And I ain't got to do much, but get up for count and things like that. All right. And do what I got to do. So you got to think of that perspective back then. They had to get up, go to work, sleep, work, but they was being took care of. They didn't have to worry about anything. Now they were being in a position where they was like, oh shit. Now they were starting to worry. That's why they made the statements they made. Right? That's why they made the statements like, damn, like, what did the Lord want to, That's why it says, what God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or what God we had died in this wilderness. All right, now there's a few more, right? Because that wasn't it. You got the book of Numbers, then you got the one in Nehemiah. All right, let's just read it. Nehemiah 9 verse 17. They refused to obey and didn't remember the wonders you accomplished in their midst. They acted arrogantly and decided to return to their slavery in Egypt. But you are a God ready to forgive, merciful, compassionate, very patient, and truly faithful. You didn't forsake them. And then you read the one for Numbers 11. It says, when the people complained intensely in the Lord's hearing, the Lord heard and became angry. Then the Lord fire burned them and consumed the edges of the camp. And when people cried out to Moses, Moses prayed to the Lord, and the fire subsided. The name of that place was called Taberah, because of the Lord's fire burned against them. The riffraff among them had a strong craving. Even the Israelites cried again and said, who will give us eat the meat? You see, they're complaining. They're complaining once again. Going back to the perspective, in the land of Egypt, they was being took care of. You see, they was being took care of. It says, who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish we ate in Egypt. Didn't I just say that? Look what they just said. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt for free. The cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. Now our lives are wasting away. There is nothing but manna in front of us. See, Jake is complaining. Even though the Lord was providing things for him, Jake wanted more. Jake was complaining. Jake was in a murmuring spirit. This is why they wanted to go back to Egypt, because of the things they were going through. But they still came out of Egypt, spoiled the Egyptians, and had possessions. They had different things already. This is why they wanted to go back to Egypt. There is nothing but manna in front of us. The manna was like a coriander seed, and its color was like resin. The people would roam around and collect it and grind it with millstones or pound it into a mortar. Then they would boil it in pots and make it into cakes. It tasted like cakes baked in olive oil. When the dew fell on the camp during the night, the manna would fall with it. Moses heard the people crying throughout their clans, each at its tent's entrance. The Lord was outraged, and Moses was upset. And Moses said to the Lord, "Why have you treated your servant so badly, and why haven't I found favor in your eyes? For you have placed the burden of all these people on me. Did I conceive all these people? Did I give birth to them? That you would say to me, carry them at the breast as nurse carries what? An unweaned child?" All right, but the script says to the fertile land, the land of flow for milk and honey, to the fertile land that you promised their ancestors. Where am I to get meat for all these people? They are crying before me and saying, "Give us meat so we can eat." I can't bear these people on my own. They're too heavy for me. If you're going to treat me like, yo, we had it. It's numbers 11. Let me see some. Numbers 11. Yep. Let me see. Right. So they just made it a little plainer, right? So for verse 13 it says, yep. Yeah, they just made it plainer by saying what they were saying. All right. It says verse 15. If you're going to treat me like this, please kill me. Let's read it. If thou dealt with me, kill me, and I pray thee out of thy hand, if I found favor in thy sight, and let me not see my wretchedness. And the Lord said unto Moses, gather me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be elders of the people and officers over them, and bring them into the tabernacle of my congregation, that they may stand with thee. Okay, but all right, but that's the point. All right, Jake was complaining, Jake was murmuring. So just because, and I don't know why you made this statement, you know, read it again. It says, also they did not leave with great possessions when they left Egypt. And you're saying this because what? Remember times were so hard they wanted to go back to Egypt? That didn't mean they didn't bring out great possessions from Egypt. They still did, right? But they were complaining of the things that they had in Egypt that they would rather go back to than rather what? As it was going into how they was eating manna. Basically, they was sick of it. They was tired of eating the manna. The Lord provided, but they was tired of eating the manna. So I don't know what kind of point you was trying to make, but the point still stands. Apostle Ramla, beautiful, broke this video down. And the rest of the elders, the apostles, and the brothers broke this video down. The 400 years of slavery is talking about Egypt, not America, once again. So until next time, I want to say shalom.